Hi guys, it's Mandy from Mandyleeplays. In this video, I'm going to go over the games that I completed, the games that I'm currently playing, and the games that I want to play. So I'm bringing back games that I played. Now, I'm not going to do these every month, only a few months, kind of like my gaming pickups, mostly because I don't normally play a lot of games in 1 month to warrant its own video. So after 3 to 4 months, I do want to do these because there are games I do want to share with you guys. And I really don't enjoy the review style kind of content. So this is like the next second best, basically. Oh, and please let me know what games that you're currently playing and the games you've beaten in the comments down below. I would love to hear it. Oh, and before we start, my cubby is empty. I've recently moved all my 3DS games all the way down here. You guys probably can't see it. So this is empty. I'm not sure what to do with it yet. So if you guys have any ideas, please let me know. Right now it just has a basket, but I do want to decorate it because this is the most visible box on camera. Onto the games. Now for some people, this might be a low number or a very high number. So currently I have beaten 5 games. And I'm very proud of that. Be proud of what you got accomplished. Don't really compare yourself to others. It's pretty dangerous. First on the list is Atelier Ayesha. Now, I beat this one very early on in the year and I enjoyed it so much. If you guys know anything about my channel, is that I really love Atelier and the Atelier series. And Ayesha was no exception. Now, I was really nervous about playing Ayesha mainly because it was my first foray into the time mechanic. Because if you guys don't know, the earlier Atelier series have this time mechanic that makes it a little bit more intensive than the later Atelier games that don't have the time mechanic. But turns out I was nervous for no reason. The time mechanic is very lenient and I got the best ending without breaking a sweat, so that's pretty good. But overall, Atelier Ayesha was a fantastic game. I love the protagonist, Ayesha Atugo. She's so ditzy and it's very funny because a lot of people make fun of her because of her airheadedness, and I can see why. She's easily manipulated and she doesn't really know much. So I really loved Ayesha as a protagonist. She is adorable and she does learn how to get more savvy towards the end of the game. It was so satisfying to see her grow throughout the adventure. Speaking of adventure, her adventure started because her sister just disappeared after going out for materials. Now, as a person who has a sister, I can really relate to the story. Their dynamic was just adorable. Everybody thought her sister just died, but our protagonist was like, I don't think she disappeared and there's more to this story. So when this mysterious man, who is really rude by the way, he is really rude at first, comes and tells her some information about alchemy that sparks an interest in her, and she goes out to learn more about alchemy and where to find her sister, and I just found it really heartwarming. And during her adventure she meets a plethora of different characters to aid her in her quest. Oh, and during this journey it's not just about Ayesha and her sister. There is this ongoing epidemic of the dusk. That's why Ayesha is the first game in the Dusk trilogy, because uncovering the dusk and what it does to the land is a big point, especially in future entries in the Dusk trilogy. Now on to the looks of this game. This game came out for the PlayStation 3, I believe, and you could tell it's not a looker at all, but there are some standout moments that look really good, especially the ruins in this game, and also the character designs are just fantastic. And that's par of course for Atelier games. Usually the character designs look awesome. Another thing I want to note is the music. I love the music in Ayesha and in the whole Dusk trilogy. The soundtrack is just fantastic. Has a very jazzy feel to it. So all in all, I love my experience with Atelier Ayesha. It was a great way to get into the Dusk trilogy and I can't wait to play the other 2. Oh, and if you guys don't know, even though I love the Atelier series, I haven't played all of them yet. Alright, now on to the next game, and that is Zelda the Minish Cap. Now this game was a big surprise, mostly because I didn't remember it being that hard. I don't know if it's because I was streaming or it was because I was just having a ditzy moment, but there were a lot of puzzles that got me stumped. But it wasn't that bad. It didn't break the game. It's just some parts were a little bit frustrating. Now I did play this game for the first time years ago on the Wii U with the Virtual Console. The only bad thing about the Wii U one is the game was on the pad and the menu was on the TV screen and I couldn't change it. It was so annoying because I was looking at this little pad to play the actual game while the freaking menu was on my TV. But anyways, I'm here to tell you about my second playthrough of the game, so let's get that started. Now, I kind of like to play at least one game a year because I love Zelda. It's one of my favorite franchises, and I like to keep that tradition going. And I really like to revisit the older ones if I can, except Zelda 2. No Zelda 2. The only way I'll play Zelda 2 is if this video gets like 10,000 likes, and I know it won't, so I am good. But yeah, I don't like Zelda 2 in case you haven't noticed. And like I mentioned before, I don't know why, but this game was harder than I remembered. But when I say hard, it was mostly because I wasn't paying attention and I got myself into really bad puzzles. Though I was frustrated at some points, it didn't really hinder the experience playing it overall. It's just sometimes I make dumb mistakes when I'm streaming, I guess. Now as for the story, it's pretty basic when it comes to Zelda games. So you, as Link, get invited to a fair with your childhood friend who happens to be Princess Zelda. So you guys have a very fun time in the fair, but then a villain called Vati shows up and he hijacks the party and turns Princess Zelda into stone. Now Vati as a villain was very refreshing because it's not Ganon or Ganondorf. Now the Minish are very small people, hence the name. So to get Zelda out of her stone prison, you have to go find these crystals and enhance the Minish sword so you could break the seal. And you have to do the usual dungeon hopping kind of vibe. Me and a lot of other people were reminiscing on how good the 2D Zelda games are, and I kind of want a new 2D Zelda game. Now I'll knock that up to nostalgia or whatnot, but I kind of miss that format. Anyways, I don't want to break out this whole 2D Zelda or 3D Zelda war, but I feel like there's room for both. And as much as I loved Breath of the Wild and Tears of a Kingdom, I kind of really want something new, for Zelda to go back to its roots a bit. And you know, maybe one is in the works. What if they remake the Minish cap? I would lose my freaking cap. I would be happy, but I would be pissed as well. But yeah, all things considered, it was a great experience streaming it with you guys and reliving the Minish cap. Next game on the list is Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core Reunion. This game got me so emotional. First of all, Zack as a character is very funny. He's so chaotic. He does not put up with all this mystic BS. He just wants to get his job done and get promoted to Soldier First Class. Now that's not saying Zack is dumb or anything like that. It's just that he's really excited to prove himself, to help people, and to do right in this really wrong world. Now Zack does give me some golden retriever energies. I mean, the dude does not stand still. If he's standing still, he's probably doing squats. He has energy to spare. He just wants to beat monsters and help people. But that all starts to fall apart when his mentor Angeal is going through his own thing, and then there's Genesis, but more importantly, there is Sephiroth. Yes, Sephiroth is here. This is a prequel to the events of Final Fantasy VII. So we get to see Sephiroth not crazy, and he's actually a pretty cool dude. He's very standoffish. So it was nice to see Sephiroth before he went crazy. Now this puts into question, was Sephiroth faking being nice? That's a question that's thrown around a lot, but ultimately it's up to the player to interpret it. Now I interpreted that Sephiroth wanted to be part of everybody else and wanted to be normal, and I honestly don't really think that what he was doing in that game was an act, which makes his whole descent into madness really sad to see. Now Final Fantasy Crisis Core Reunion is a remake of the original Final Fantasy Crisis Core for the PSP. So graphically it got a little bit of an update, though some places still have that PSP kind of vibe. Now the story is really important to experience before you go into the remake stuff, because playing and experiencing the Crisis Core story would put a lot of things into perspective for the remake trilogy. Also, this was the first time I played Crisis Core. I never played it for the PSP. Now the gameplay of this game is pretty weird, kind of. It's more of a luck-based game because you have this slots mechanic that roll, and if you roll 3 of the same characters, you get a special bonus. And there's even summons where if you line up the summons, you could do a summon. I really liked it because I kept it fresh. It wasn't too stingy. There are ways you could amplify your luck, but just doing it normally is very fun because you don't know what you're gonna get. But it's important not to depend on the slots mechanic. Now for the traditional gameplay, you have your sword, which you can slash enemies with, and you have different magic. Now you get different magic skills on your journey and by doing missions. Now the missions itself, it has this really fun and satisfying gameplay loop, and the way that you go to your missions is really easy. So essentially you go to a save point and then it'll give you the option to do missions. So if you're really under leveled before going to a boss, you could just grind out in those missions right there on the save point. It's just so convenient. And another thing I want to add is this game is really short for an RPG, but nonetheless I really enjoyed it. Zack's story is not only a story of heroism, but it's a tragedy at the same time, and it's really hard not to feel the feels, especially towards the end. So this is spoilers for the ending. If you're not into the ending or haven't watched it yet, then please just skip to the timestamp here. But yeah, Zack falls down at the end of his battle trying to help his friend Cloud escape. It was so raw and emotional, and it's an even more impactful moment because the DMW, which is the slot stuff, are his memories. That's why when you get a slot bonus, it usually activates a memory of that person. You can see the characters in Zack's life slowly fading out as Zack's having trouble remembering them. And the last memory was of Eris and him. It was just so beautiful. But there was a glimmer of hope. Zack got the opportunity to pass the torch to Cloud. Cloud takes the Buster Sword. He is now taking Zack's place, and then the series of events of Final Fantasy VII officially start. A lot of people didn't like this game, mostly because they don't think it was needed, but for me, it was a story worth telling. And I loved how Zack, who got little more than a few minutes in the original game, got his time to shine because all of this was set forth because of Zack. If Zack didn't do the things that he did, we probably would be in a different Final Fantasy VII. Alrighty, next game is Princess Peach Showtime. Now, this game I was really excited about, and I loved it from beginning to end, though I do have some critiques. Critique number one, the star pieces, there's a lot of them. Way too much to be exact. So that can be kind of annoying. I liked all the costumes, though there is one I did not like, and that's Detective Peach. I felt like it was pretty clunky and it slowed the pace down, and the mysteries weren't even that good. But nonetheless, I enjoyed this game so much. The thing that sold it for me was the entire setting of this game is like one big stage play. Now, funny enough, this is not the first time we've seen a Mario game look like a stage play. I don't know, I think Nintendo is trying to tell us something. And I especially love this because I'm a person who loves Broadway, so I love the whole aesthetic. Showtime is amazing, and there's a lot of potential for a sequel. Overall, it was a very fun experience. The last one on the list is Unicorn Overlord. I recently beat this game like a week ago. Now, this game was really good, but I don't think it's Game of the Year kind of good, and I'll explain that in a bit. But Unicorn Overlord is a tactical RPG, which has the protagonist going to different regions to gather an army to get back his land. Now, this game was made by Vanillaware, so how do I explain this game best to my abilities? It's really complicated and it has a lot of gameplay mechanics that go into it, but if I could best describe it is Fire Emblem X Tactic Orgs X Theophile Chronicles. So if you played one of those games, then it'll give you a gist on how Unicorn Overload is. Now, my one critique about this game and what really made it not Game of the Year to me was the story. The story was very basic. Now, if you played 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim, which was made by Vanillaware as well, then I was expecting some sort of twist and turns like that, but no, it was very basic. It could have really been so much more, though some of the side characters and what they're going through are very intriguing, but other than that, the main character and the main story is pretty boring. Might I say very vanilla? Yes, pun intended. But besides the story, the gameplay is really fun. Now, there's a lot of things in this gameplay. Do not go into this game without reading the tutorial. I'm saying that, so it's true. This game could be a lot to people who are new to the tactical genre or don't really like it. So if you don't like it, I do not recommend this game. But overall, it's an amazing game and I really enjoyed it. The visuals are good, the music is fantastic, and besides the protagonist, the other characters are really fun. Now for the games that I'm currently playing, if you're keeping up with my stream, then I'm currently playing Chrono Trigger. It has been a joy, though there are times where I was lost because the game doesn't tell you anything. And that's mostly because it's a game of its time. It came out in 1993 or 7, I believe. So it's not a knock on the game, it's just because it's a retro game kind of vibe. But overall, I'm really enjoying it, especially the dialogue. It just makes for some very funny moments, and I can't wait to continue with you guys next weekend. But other than that, I'm not currently playing anything. Now, there are games that I barely played sprinkled in there that I haven't really beat. First one being Persona 3 Reload. So I'm just waiting until I have the want to play another Persona game. And then there's Final Fantasy Rebirth. I put that one down because I wasn't in the mood, but I do want to pick it up very soon. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. Please let me know what games you're playing, gonna play, or currently playing in the comments down below. I would love to hear it. If you like this video, then hit that like button. Would appreciate it. And if you like my content and would love to see more, then hit that subscribe. I would appreciate that as well. We're almost to 7K and I'm so excited. You can follow me on my socials in the description down below. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of the day, and as always, play a good game. Peace.
different kinds of love, Margarita.